Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's I Love Learning podcast. And I am so pleased and blessed and thankful. Today is the second day of Don't Wait to Thank. And I am so thankful that Dr. Mohammad Siddiqui is with me today. And I just learned that he speaks five languages. And I know that that is probably not his passion that we're going to talk about today, but he is one of the most beautiful, kind, intelligent, brilliant, so many awesomeness words that you can think of. And I am just so excited to have him here today to share with you. And if you do not know him, you need to get to know him and learn what he can connect and offer to you. So thank you so much for being here with me today. And I want you to introduce yourself and tell everyone what you're passionate about.
Dr. Gina, I'm so humbled. Thank you very much for having me and for this, again, humble introduction. Um, I don't know what to say else or in addition, but uh, I'm just like a regular human being, a student, a learner, a lifelong learner, I would say. And I was looking forward for this event with you. And I'm just here to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. So, why don't you tell everyone really what every day looks like your passion for you? So, what is your passion and how do you live each day by your passion?
Beautiful question, but a very broad question. I would like to, and I would try my best to summarize it. Um, by my training, so like anybody had to choose a career or a field of work. So I was trained as a physician. I was trained as a radiologist, and then with the passage of time, I developed my, I would say, love or passion for the integrated healthcare or for the functional medicine healthcare. And then COVID was the time, to make it short, that was the pivotal moment when I finally decided to move forward
Mm.
with this passion, or it was a discovery for me back then. And again, the reason is that it's talk about a holistic being. It's talk about the holistic health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and so that attracted me. And I would say uh, it was there in me for the last 20 to 25 years, since I,
Wow.
but I discovered that on that very moment, that this is what I wanted to do. And yeah, and I think this is how, if I connect the dots, I'm here today, got introduced to you, and you were kind enough to um invite me for this talk. Yeah, so I hope I've answered this question.
Yeah, absolutely. Something inside of you stirred and it spoke to you about a direction that you were going and then you pivoted. Was there a time in this process when you pivoted that you faced a hurdle or something that maybe stood in the way of you moving towards your passion that you can think about?
Another great question to put, and w- what I can think of top of my mind right now, and if I can summarize the last 25 years, exactly the last 25 years. So there were two pivotal moments. And so one pivotal moment was back in 2001. And let me take you a little bit back in the history. So I graduated as a medical doctor in 1995. I started working as a conventional medicine. I chose radiology or medical imaging as my super specialty or my subspecialty. And then I was in UK doing my fellowship. And then I decided to come back from UK to my place of birth, which was
Mm.
Saudi Arabia in Middle East. And the whole reason was because my parents, they were there, my extended family was there. And so I just came back, keeping in my mind that I would start my professional life journey. And then something happened, Dr. Gina, in 2001 when I was working in a hospital, in
Mm.
a regular healthcare facility, which prompted me, or which forced me to change my track
Mm.
from conventional medicine to another direction, which was joining a company, again, a world renowned company. Most of the people, they know it, General Electric Healthcare.
Oh.
So again, it was a bit strange that a medical practicing doctor would
Yeah.
left or leave the clinical side and then join a company which was in the manufacturing of medical devices,
Oh.
and then the training. So that was one time, 2001. And the reason was that I was working in that hospital and helped, so somehow I helped a person, a patient, which was I was talking to him.
Hmm.
And then normally, a radiologist, they don't talk too much with the patient.
No, I find that.
Yeah, so they are mostly behind the screens, or behind, I would say, in the dark rooms, right?
Mm. Hmm.
So when I interacted with that patient, with that person, and the impact I felt personally in his life, or in his improvement in that particular moment. So I decided I cannot live, or I cannot sit back and just keep working in that way. I
Mm.
have to be in front seat, or I have to be in a place where I could interact more with people and with patients. Yeah. So that was the first pivotal moment when
Mm.
I left typical clinical work and I joined GE Healthcare. Now, moving fast forward from 2001 until 2021,
Mm.
we are talking about 20 years now here, right? And I have to be fast forward, I'm because I'm mindful for the time we have together. So I was working as the clinical education specialist, which
Mm.
means a person who trains uh, the end users. End user means who trains the radiologist,
Mm.
radiographer, all those people who are working with the equipment, right? So there was a concept of train the trainer, or train the radiologist by a radiologist. And so I used to go and visit hospitals around the globe, not even in one region, around the globe, and train them for the state of the art equipment which
Mm.
they used to buy, the hospitals. And then that's it. So that was the routine life.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would say that was the best of the time when I grew myself. I learned a lot in terms of the commercial part of the medicine, right?
Mm.
In terms of product development, product management, in terms of uh, how the system works, how the healthcare system works. And then during those 20 years, still there was like
Mm.
something hollow in me, inside,
Mm.
not
Mm.
helping out the people who are in need, right? So,
Yeah.
I was working as the clinical education expert, but I was not working to help out individuals out there.
Yeah.
So that was the hurdle. But luckily, how I came over that hurdle, that we started working voluntarily
Mm.
with some groups. like like International Doctors Network, like Doctors Without Borders. And then,
Mm,
even so much so, when I was in Saudi Arabia, we started an organization which was purely for helping poor patients and
mm,
for people without insurance, and we called it a patient welfare society. So on my free weekends, on my free time, I used to go there.
uh-huh.
And, we used to help patients in either seeing patients or in diagnosing them with imaging, or any sort of help, anything you can think about.
Mhm.
So this is how I came over into still working or doing some uh, voluntary work just to satisfy myself,
Mm,
my passion to work for the people out there. And at the same time, because you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your living, I was working, like as
mm,
I said, as a clinical education expert, as the product expert whatsoever. And luckily, there was a time when I traveled around. So I traveled globally, and it was a good learning curve for me to understand different healthcare systems, different countries geographically. But then at the same time, it gave me a sense of urgency, because on one spectrum, Dr. Gina, there was people in North America, there was
mm,
people in developed European countries, or in Australia, right?
mm,
Where you have state of the art equipment,
mm,
fully covered medical insurance, spectrum one. And the other part of the spectrum was people, let's say, without taking any country's name, people in Africa,
mhm,
people in Asia, people in Middle East, who had no access to the
mm,
most basics of the healthcare,
mm,
right? People
mm,
who used to come barefoot
mm,
into the field hospitals, right? So I
mhm,
have witnessed all those things. And then that was the pain which I was living throughout the time, that if there is so much high end, state of the art equipment provided to the humankind, still the suffering is not getting less,
mm.
right? The
Absolutely.
people, they are still suffering.
Mhm,
When I'm saying people, I'm talking about humans.
mm.
They are still suffering. So there was a spark always here, and there was a fight always here, that what can be done,
Yeah.
just to play my part and to
Mhm,
bridge that gap. And then finally in 2020, moving fast forward, when we were all under the COVID, I said now that COVID was a blessings in disguise for me,
mm, mm,
that stopped us. We were running like on a
mm.
like a hamster wheel. We
Absolutely.
were running. So I personally was in one country in one week, and next week I was in another country. So we all were stopped, we were paused by the nature, and we had to reflect
Mm,
what we all have been doing. And that was the time when I discovered functional medicine, when I discovered the integrated health, or coaching, the health coaching, which I am now in 100%. I started up my I started my company, and then yeah, and then that's the history for the last
yeah.
4 years. So, and I believe that's the reason we got connected a couple of months back as well. So I'm sorry for the long answer, but I hope that covered what you have asked.
It's beautiful. And in fact, when you think about it, there's many that are listening today that are searching for their purpose, right? And searching what their true purpose is. And you just described the pathway of finding that drive that drive that is inside of you that you can discover through experience and through thoughtful reflection, and come to this place where you're engaged in life in a way that makes you feel fulfilled. And I think that story that you just described is just a great example of how you can move through difficult times of trying to find your purpose and finding it in a very meaningful way. So thank you for sharing that. And maybe now that you're at this point where you're living by your purpose and you're in your deep drive, and I'm going to write an article about this because I think it's so fascinating about not really the reward. Or you think about Olympic athletes, it's not about the, I mean, everyone likes to celebrate and have the reward, but it's finding the drive within to find your purpose to live. And what keeps you happy every day, like this newfound purpose that has always been inside of you, but now you're living it. How do you, what makes you happy every day? What do you do every day that helps you continue this curiosity? Because really curiosity, right, is the foundation of growth and learning, is being curious and continuing to unpeel back the layers of your drive. And so, can you kind of talk about, like, daily, how you use this and how it continues to help you be happy and make you continue to want to learn and grow and continue to thrive? Because at the end of the day, right, curiosity is the key to help with that.
Another great and beautiful question. Um, I'm wondering, how do you get all these super kind of questions, which they are resonating so much with me. They are resonating with the purpose, which, we do every day. So I'm just thinking I'm trying to organize my thoughts here a little bit. When you said what keeps me motivated every day, right?
Mhm.
In the morning. So I would say up till until like 4 years ago, I used to wake up with a force. Like, I used to force myself to wake up and then, to go get out of the bed and then to be somewhere where I have to be or I had to be, right? Although from an outlook, it was an ideal scenario when, when you are traveling the world, when you are traveling, staying in, like, luxury hotels and going and talking to, and like it, it's like a traveler with
Yeah.
still people they can think about. But for the last 4 years, since I would say I discovered that passion, since I discovered that purpose, I would say, so values, they were there always, but they were not nourishing, right?
Mm.
They were not there to blossom. But when I found that purpose, so I can tell you that I wake up every day early in the morning without an alarm clock, right? Without somebody asking me to give up a wake up call. And the whole purpose is because I have a vision, or I, again, it's maybe it's not a vision, but maybe it's a will that today, in the next 24 hours, I have to help someone in discovering themselves,
Mm.
in to select the track or the path of a well-being for them. Because, you know uh, there is something which is, we talk about a lot, and people out there, they would understand it. We talk about illness and wellness continuum.
Mm.
We talk about, so it's a dynamic process, it's a dynamic stage for everyone, right? So either we are well or we are not well.
Mm.
And people who are in the mid, a sort of in the neutral state, they think that they are well, but they are not well.
Mm.
Because, what happens with medications, with temporary symptomatic relief, we only control the some kind of symptoms, but
Mm,
still the disease
mm,
is there.
mm,
The problem is there. So when we talk about thriving, when we talk about the wellness journey, it's a continuum. It's a continuous journey
mm,
which never ends. And you know, that's why we talk about making your lifespan equal to your health span.
mm,
No, everybody has to go, right? We don't
mm.
know next, like when we have to stop breathing. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the biggest reality. Every
right.
of us has to go one day. We don't know when, but until we are here, we live the most and the most possible healthiest life as much as we could do. So, and that's the reason, that's the mission which I wake up every morning, not only for myself, like as to walk the talk, but also for others. So this is how I wake up in the morning. I have my full schedule, like helping out someone either individually or in a group. Um, this is how my day starts, and then to talk about or to speak about, it's all about awareness with
Mm,
someone, that what we do.
mm,
And when I say we, which means health and wellness coaches, right? I don't, I'm not sure with the exact number, that how many health coaches are around the world, or people who help out. But one of my taglines is, if there are 8 billion people living today on
mhm,
this planet, we
mm,
need 4 billion coaches.
mm.
Why? Because every person need a coach, even a health coach need a coach,
Absolutely.
right? At any point of time, because we are all humans, Gina. We are all,
Yes.
and
Mhm,
I I remember now, you mentioned something in the intro that uh, we we have come to the stage that when I was working as an expert, when I was working as a first as a medical expert, and then as the imaging and as a training expert, wearing that expert hat, we always talk about, what's wrong with you,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something we talk. A, a person come in our life, in our day, and then we just ask them, come on, I have no time, tell me what's wrong with you, how can I help you? And then we come up with our expert opinion. It could
Mhm.
be a prescription or it could be an advice, and then we give them that a piece of paper or
Yeah.
electronic or something, and we
Mhm.
tell them, okay, we'll see you after 6 months, nice meeting,
Mm.
right? But
Right.
now it's not like this. So now when we meet someone, we discover we discover what's strong with them. We discover the positivity. We discover their strengths, basically,
Right.
right? Um,
Right.
and then the whole purpose is to empower them. The whole purpose is to either grab their hand and walk
Mm.
with them as a cheerleader,
Mhm.
to get them or help them achieve their goals.
Absolutely. I love that. Everyone needs a hand. I have a
Everyone.
running coach. I have a running coach. We definitely need everyone needs a coach, right? We all need that hand. That's beautiful. I love that. Do you if there's someone listening out there today that has lost their hope or can't find their purpose or like you said, can't get out of bed, what advice would you have for them today to help them kind of move forward and get up out of bed? What advice would you have for them?
Gosh, it's a it's a big question, Gina. It's a
Mhm.
big question, and if they have someone nearby, if they have someone, loved ones, anyone nearby,
Mhm.
the first thing would be to talk to them, right? So share what they are feeling, share their concerns, what they are feeling as of today, right now, in the present moment, until they can find a professional or, someone who can again listen to them. And that's number one. And number two, I cannot believe that any human, any person who is breathing right now, that person could never have any aha moments or any good moments or good memories.
Mm.
I believe everyone have had their own memories. So if somebody is totally alone, let's say on the moon or somewhere on the space, he or she or whoever, they just have to recall
Mm.
their present or their winning moments and try to start the upward spiral in their thinking, which we call now as the at which we have learned now in the positive psychology and in the motivational interviewing, that ask yourself what's strong with you, ask yourself what you are good at, and as I said, just remember, try to cherish those memories which make you happy. So that's the first thing. If you are in your bed alone, nobody's around you, just start. You see, it's all about mindset, it's all about emotions, it's all about how you think about yourself. So, self care, self awareness, self love should come at the top priority.
Absolutely. I love that. It's like an exclamation at the end of this, that definitely realizing and telling yourself that I am strong, and saying it out loud, and connecting with people, if you can,
If you,
right?
if you can.
Absolutely. So to end today, Dr. Mohammad Siddiqui, why don't you let everyone know on the podcast, number one, if there's anything else you want to leave as a lasting words of advice with us today, definitely share that, and share with everyone what's the best way to connect with you if they want a coach, an awesome coach, if they want to connect, if they just need some extra encouragement, where can they reach you?
They can reach me pretty much everywhere. And when I say everywhere, which means on the social media,
Uh-huh.
I'm quite present and active on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm present on Facebook
Mm.
and Instagram as well. You are free to share my email and all those, connecting networks. So I would say I'm just a calls away, and
Oh,
I would be, as I said, if even someone, just some one person,
one.
can get start loving themselves or start taking care of themselves after hearing this, so that would be a big win for me personally. And yeah, so closing remarks, last moment is that love yourself, care yourself, and keep shining, keep smiling.
Thank you. And with that, thank you so much for those beautiful words of encouragement. And I encourage everyone to reach